It's Thursday, June 10th, and you are watching and or listening to Uniform Exchange.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It's a Uniform Exchange. It's a Uniform Exchange.
Hello.
Music.
Sorry.
The budget
Uniform
has expanded.
Uniform
We had the Beastie
Exchange.
Boys.
Did you voice over yourself for that?
No, that was the Beastie Boys.
Oh, so our music budget went up.
Way up. Way up.
I
Welcome
hate to start the show like this.
Oh.
Has anybody gotten paid for this yet? Like, is Josh the only one still making money? I'm furious over here.
I bought a chandelier with my Uniform Exchange.
God
winnings.
damn it. It's getting ridiculous, Myers. It's getting ridiculous.
Welcome to Uniform Exchange.
Freaking chandeliers.
Where we present the best, the worst, and the most interesting happenings in the weird, wacky, wild world of sports business, and it rarely stops there. I'm Michael Myers of Birdie Box and the Sports Marketer. As always, I am joined. We're going to go this way. Big sports guy, Josh Kiles. Team Marketing Report, Chris Hartwig. Goose Island, Mike Smith, number 2 dad. How you guys doing?
Cheers.
Cheers. What was that? What'd you just...
I don't think any of us are doing as well as number 2 dad over there.
Damn, what is that? What is that?
So if you're going to have one beer, which I only have one beer in this podcast, you might as well grab a 19.2 ounce can of beer hugs, because if your wife isn't going to hug you, the beer can might as well.
What is that? That looks fantastic. Is that like a triple IPA or something?
It's pretty big. It's 9.9% alcohol.
Oh.
If you're going to venture with us through this hour podcast, let's see what happens in 50 minutes from now, because I'm going to be to the moon.
Let's call everyone you know.
Call everyone you know.
Pause
It's
the
on.
show. Call everyone you know.
It's a zoo, ladies and
they
gentlemen.
say
It's a
split
zoo.
this, but I'll just send you guys a can. For
Wait,
next
who's
podcast.
they? Wouldn't you be they?
The legal team from Goose Island says they, but I say yeah, whatever.
Okay.
And there goes
All
that
right.
sponsorship,
Party.
Myers.
This is what happens when we broadcast at night, huh?
Yeah, this is the nighttime. This is after dark. This is Uniform Exchange after
Uniform
dark.
Exchange after dark. I think we need to get some shirts made.
Oh, just anything,
Well-
anything to compensate us.
I have an idea.
Got Chandelier Man up there can't even get a freaking shirt.
I have an idea.
Rack it up, I got a job. Make me a safe house. Shake it up, she got her hands on it.
Oh my gosh. We have a show this week. We're going to talk about Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. We're going to talk about some sticky situations in Major League Baseball. We're going to talk about some NFTs, how things going there.
Again.
Josh is going to give us
I can't wait to tell
15
30-minute story about it.
15
We get
15
into the Drew
minutes,
Barrymore movie segment.
Yeah.
Are we going to
we've got,
explain what an NFT is for 20 minutes before we get back into that, by the way?
You're
No
only
less
the
than-
third person to say that joke in the last 8 seconds, but welcome to the party, dad number 2.
Okay. Listen
All
to
right,
podcast
Twitter
number
open.
4, and we'll explain it, and then come back.
Twitter and open doors, NCAA. Some quick hits about video games and some other things. Enough with the overview. Let's start talking. Number 1, Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. I'm going to let you guys go first on this one.
How many people paid to watch it? Raise your hand. No.
How many people watched it? Raise your hand. I'm not going to raise my hand, but I might have. No. Yes.
Did you?
I watched it. It was not the most fun to watch, but I guess good for Logan Paul not getting knocked out.
Or did he? Or
That's a good
or
point.
There
did
have
he?
been some rumors going around the internets several incidences that I've seen online.
Incidences.
Yes, there's a clip of it. Seems like Logan might have slumped a bit and Floyd held him up. I don't know. It didn't seem much different than what Logan was doing the whole fight, which was leaning on Floyd. So go ahead, Myers. It looks like you have something to say.
No. I want to hear what you guys. I want to. You guys go first. You know how I feel about this.
I just feel like he was in cruise control the whole time. Like
Who was he?
Floyd, man. Like, you know, everybody knew he was like, he's doing this for a paycheck. And in the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, he's probably doing it for a paycheck. But for like all the wacky stunts they did beforehand, you know, kind of led me more to believe that. And then as soon as the bell rang the first, I'm like, this guy could knock him out at any point. But he's like, let's go along for the ride. And just every round, it was you're just like, what's he doing? You know, what's he doing? And it's just like, I guess you want to give the people a show. They gave him a show. Was it a good one? I don't know.
Go ahead, Myers. It looks like you have something you want to get off your chest.
No. I mean, it was awful. If it was I watched portions of it just because I needed to see what it was. I needed to see if it was anything different than what I thought it was going to be. And all I saw was that it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was a guy that doesn't fight, fighting a guy that didn't come to fight and didn't fight when he was there. I mean, there was nothing sport about it. Was, if you want to call it an exhibition and that's what it is, that's what it is. Okay. It was an exhibition.
I'll call it entertainment. Was it that entertaining? That's another question. But
boring is what it was.
Boxing.
It was very boring. It was Logan Paul hugging him.
A lot of hugging.
A lot of hugging.
It was an exhibition.
Awkward punching
is what I thought it was. Like, give me a break. Get a room.
There was a couple portions where Logan looked like he was just mashing all the buttons on like Mortal Kombat, which
for sure.
Maybe we can touch on. He's just coming in swinging wild, and Floyd is just
it looked like what do they call those King of the Ring matches where they wear the headgear and they just come in and they just swing in wild from the sides. And
I bet I can throw more haymakers than you.
This is where we are, guys. This is where we are with boxing. We can't pretend it's not boxing. It is boxing. This was boxing.
Well, the sad thing is, Myers, like I like the UFC. I think it's great for what it is. I would like to keep that completely differentiated from what boxing is or could be. And the downfall of boxing over the last 15, 20 years has been super sad. And in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe this could just breathe a little bit of light into the sport and get something going again. But it didn't. It was a downfall. It was just, you know. I
mean, look, if you were a casual viewer and you tuned in, let's look, because, you know, to your point, if this was something that could bring new fans in, right?
No, that's not bringing any
because they sold them. Well, they sold 1 million pay-per-views, whereas, you know, the most fight, I think it's only the second fight of all the fights in the last 2 years to sell over 1 million individual pay-per-views. So if I'm certain, Josh, that it brought people in that don't traditionally watch boxing. I'm certain that it did, right? But if you were coming in and watching your first boxing match and you thought this was a boxing match, you would leave going, well, that was the only time I'll ever pay for that. That's where your head would be if this was your foray into. This doesn't bring people into boxing. I think ultimately, well, what do you guys think? Where's this going to lead? Is it going to lead to more of this? Because God, it was awful. It was awful viewing. Is what it was.
I think
they sold 1 million of them. They sold 1 million.
Well, yeah, but supposedly the Jake Paul Askren fight did something like 1.4. So I'm hoping, because I thought this was a shit show, that we're on the downside of it, that this means that people are getting tired of it. But if this sells 1 million, I mean, makes 50 million bucks. It ain't going to be the last one. It ain't going to be the last one.
It's not the last one.
No,
until one doesn't sell, they will do more and more and more of these.
It's
You
the
know what I
best
think-
night that Showtime had, the streaming service had, since it launched in 15, I think. So,
Man, I can't
you
wait
know-
till it's not even worthy of a conversation on here, and it's gonna
Right,
get to that
absolutely.
point. I just
I
don't
hope
know
so.
when it'll get there.
I hope-
It will.
I feel that-
it will.
Probably
This is not
by,
going to
like,
be the new wave.
Probably by episode like 3,200, somewhere around there, it won't be something to worth talk about. But no, I think it's not. It's going to keep happening. I mean, probably not to this level because I mean, Floyd Mayweather is not going to be fighting in all of them. But yeah, I think. I mean, there's already like another big YouTube versus TikToker like boxing match scheduled for this weekend or next weekend. You know,
I hate
Jake
it, like-
Paul is coming
Oh.
back to fight Tyron Woodley, which that might actually be a fight where we get to see Jake Paul get knocked out. But the problem is, like, now we kind of want to see Jake Paul get knocked out, and people are gonna
Do we?
keep watching for that.
I mean, I've wanted to
Well,
see Jake Paul get
the
knocked out for
proverbial
9
week,
years.
not the- Really?
Yeah, but
That was
I've wanted to-
9 years ago.
I've wanted to see Jake Paul get knocked out for 9 years, and I didn't watch 1 second.
He was
of
like
this thing.
3 years old 9 years ago.
How did you know Jake Paul 9 years ago? You're way
Yeah.
ahead.
Why were
He was
you
in the- I
committing
told
child
you.
abuse?
You're the problem.
He was
Jesus,
in that
Myers.
movie. I told you he was in the musical. That's the only reason I knew who he was. Either him or his brother was in that freaking musical. I'm telling you, it was the
High
80s music musical.
With Drew Barrymore?
With Drew Barrymore. No,
Oh,
I don't even
God,
know
here we
a
go
single
again.
actor. I don't know a single actor or actress. Well, they're all actors. I don't know a
Damn it,
single
Chris.
actor in the movie, but it was a movie where Jake Paul played essentially the boyfriend that was the preppy boyfriend and then the cool boyfriend who was the band guy. It's the 80s movie. It's not Rock of Ages, but it's one of those. This is how great that movie was.
Here's what's going to
Yeah.
happen. I'm going to call two things on this.
That's
One,
why I know who he was.
Do you guys remember? And it was at the early 2000s. Do you remember bum fights? Like as bad as it was, or illegal, or
I don't know where that.
degrading?
Yeah.
They'd
completely
fight-
illegal,
They'd,
yeah.
they'd fight people. They'd pay bums to fight people in the street, and like that was entertaining before social media. But this is where boxing is heading.
E-Bums
It's going to
World.
get. It's E-Bums World.
E-Bombs World.
Future sponsor, bring it back.
E-Bombs
It's
World.
like
I'm actually going to buy E-Bombs World and see if I can bring it
Yeah,
around.
you do with the NFTs we're making all the money on. Anyway, like bum fights are going to come back. You want to see that? Here they come. The second thing is,
Here
do you
they come.
remember- Was it Makeem Mutombo? Who was that? That
Dikembe
big-
Mutombo?
Yeah, was he the one that
Hakuna Matata?
No, he'd pay people to tackle him like full on, or like knock him out with one punch in the street. Remember those videos?
Oh no, a Kimbo
Kimbo
Slice.
Slice, yeah. You're getting
Kimbo
this is the
Slice.
breeding ground for Kimbo Slice bum fights 2023 episode 1470. We'll be talking about this shit.
Just for the record, before we move to the next topic, Kimbo Slice actually fought in sanctioned MMA fights.
Yeah.
I know of 3 or 4. They actually brought him in. And did I hear that he passed away?
Yes, he did. May he rest in peace.
Yeah, he was a frightening those videos of him fighting the street fights.
The right bum connected on him, and he didn't
But
win. for 20 bucks.
apparently, he's that he
Word.
was a total sweetheart. He was a total sweetheart. I just
he
want to
was
let that be said.
he was a mean man on those videos though.
Absolutely, but
Was
a
a-
total sweetheart. Let's move on to the next topic. Thank you. And
Ooh,
Ew,
it's
it's sticky.
All right, Major League Baseball. This one, this one's interesting. I think this is very interesting. So, Major League Baseball's at it again. They said at the beginning of the year that they were going to be cracking down on the substances used by the pitchers. They said they're going to be tracking things and coming back at the, whatever. They haven't done anything. They haven't done anything at all. Nothing. As far as I know, they've talked to 2 people. One was the Joe West situation we talked about a couple weeks ago when they took the guy's hat away before he pitched. Giovanni Gallegos.
Did we ever get an update on that? By the way, like
No.
Hatgate, please,
provided to
Hatgate.
us?
What happened? What was on his hat?
Yeah, right. And then the
should
other
we,
one,
should we have gotten a memo sent to us or something? Like
the other one
who's
was
following
well,
up with
no,
that?
he-
Subscribe to everything that comes my way. Yes, here's my email. Send me when you know. I want to know about the guy.
I think we're gonna go back to 4 o'clock because you guys are losing your goddamn minds over here.
I subscribe to everything that comes my way.
I do it.
Dad number 2.
I'm all for everything.
Oh
Give
my
him a shot.
god! Wow, we're down to 4 minutes. I haven't even set the topic up yet.
Dude, that's
They didn't
sticky.
do anything.
I'm gonna mute
Trevor
myself.
Bauer is the other person that they talked about, and they haven't done anything with that yet. That's an interesting one. But with hitters not hitting, They have to do something. We talked a couple weeks ago about the all-time low batting averages. They're down from there. It was 238. Now it's 236.
Yeah.
So they have decided to take care of this now. I don't know if you've seen the interviews of the last couple of days. Have you guys been following this very closely?
Talking about like Garrett Cole's interview, and
That was amazing.
Yeah,
That's probably my favorite. Can I do my Garrett Cole impersonation?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you cheat, Garrett?
He looked like Floyd Mayweather in like all his other
God.
fights.
Perfect.
Now you know what it feels like to be us with you, Myers. Never get a word in.
Ooh, when do we get to cut you off?
So, anyway, all right, I'll let you guys back in. My
Yes.
God,
Better. I'm
people.
better.
Something.
Garrett Cole, give us your impersonation.
Garrett Cole. He said, "I don't know. I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest." That's his exact quote. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, to be honest.
Right. It
That's
was a yes
his
or no
answer.
question.
He wasn't being very
Did
honest.
you ever use that particular product, whatever it's called,
Right.
Sticky, whatever it was?
Yeah.
Sticky Pirate or whatever it's called. I don't know.
No,
Sticky pirate.
That's
Spider Tack?
that's a different
Spider
podcast.
Tack. That's it. That's it.
Sticky
Spider
Pirate
Tack.
is a different podcast. Spider.
So yeah, so that's
Spider
interesting. So I don't know how they're going to do this. I did find it interesting that since they made the announcement they're going to watch this, Garrett Cole's next outing, he lost 100 RPMs rotations per minute on his pitch, and then Trevor Bauer lost 200 on his next start. Said, well, it's humid in Atlanta and all these things. Cole gave up 5 runs and I don't know how many few innings.
Tired when I pitch.
I'm pretty sure that if they don't use the stuff, the batting averages are going to go up a little bit. I do think that. I did find it interesting. Did you guys see what Pete Alonso said, though?
He said, "I'd rather them
Yeah.
use something so I don't get hit with a 99-mile-per-hour fastball."
Well, a lot of guys have said that, but he took it a step further and said that his issue is with Major League Baseball manipulating the free agent classes. He said if it's a hitter free agent class heavy, then they make the ball not carry, and if it's a pitcher free agent class coming up, they make it carry a lot to keep the salaries down. Which they did some research on that, and it doesn't add up. So that's kind of out the window. But it is pretty interesting. Major League Baseball does tweak the ball every year, and they did say they were going to crack down on some, product.
Well, I think that to me, they've talked about that they're going to crack down, but I mean, we're 60 plus games in the season, and the only reason I think they're doing anything
by math.
is thank you, math magician. I think that it's that MLB is looking terrible on this, and this is them trying to calm the beast, because there's been so many of these stories just in the last couple of weeks that break down just exactly how many ways these guys are using whatever it is, from suntan lotion and rosin through Spider Tack and all these different substances. Like, they've got to do something now. I think of it a lot like the steroids age was that they looked that it was a positive for so long that they just looked the other way until it got to be so bad. Then the numbers are now so jacked that they have to do something about it. But if they do, then it becomes just like roids. They start testing, and all of a sudden it's like 90% of guys are showing that they use substances. Well, what does that mean about the game of baseball? 90% of the guys are cheating all the time. That looks terrible for them too. So they can't win in this. And I think they dug the grave themselves by not tamping some of this down earlier, putting some limits in place.
I agree. Every day, every game that goes by that they don't do anything is just another blemish of them looking like idiots.
Well, and you had look at Joe West. God love him, just our favorite dude. But he wants to be on TV, so it's like he takes it into his own hands with your boy Mike Shithead Myers, and that blew up on everybody's face because if you have a renegade ump that thinks, I'm gonna do my thing.
And when that blew up in everyone's face, they were like, "Ew, that's sticky." Next topic.
Damn! With the perfect out. I'm impressed.
All right.
Is it past your bedtime, Myers? You look
I
just
think
worn
so,
out.
Grumpy
man.
boy.
I
Grumpy
tell you,
boy.
can't control you guys tonight.
You peaked an hour and a half before the show. That was
I
your problem.
did. I did. I was
ready. I'm
really ready.
excited.
I need to
started
get
good. I
to
was
bed
so
to get
ready
my
go.
steel cut oatmeal in the morning, and I'm just grumpy now.
Myers eats Skittles for breakfast. He does not have steel cut
I do.
oatmeal.
I do eat Skittles for breakfast.
A bowl of
Wildberry,
Skittles still
the
puts milk
purple
in it.
bag.
NFTs, gentlemen. NFTs back in the news. Josh, take 15 minutes. Tell us about
Everybody
NFTs.
strap in.
Here we go. Mute me.
Here we go. All right. So, are we reaching a moment with NFTs? Is the question. So, on the upside, you guys saw that this week baseball inked another deal with Candy Digital. Candy Digital is Michael Rubin from Fanatics. It's Gary Vanderchuk, and it's some crypto guy, Michael Novogratz. I had to read that one. That like they've already done the deal with Topps. They've already done the NFT deal with Topps. This one's going to be more like NBA Top Shot, I think. So that's brand new, right? That just happened. This one was interesting. There's a Mexican football team, soccer, that offered up 1% ownership in their organization through an NFT, or they're offering it up through an NFT, 1.3 million minimum bid, non-voting, non-dilutable 1% ownership in the football club. Okay. And then the last one I saw that was interesting was LaMelo Ball. You guys see what LaMelo Ball is doing? LaMelo Ball is going to be the first. He's going to be the first NBA player to have his entire career on the blockchain. That's his goal.
God.
So he's got cards on that NFTs on there that can be upgraded based on his success on the court. And
Money grab.
Well, look, so that stuff's still coming. Chris?
I would like to see, it's getting to be a very large bus, but I would like to put NFTs, Joe West, anybody in the Ball family.
Whoa.
And
We are
already
grumpy
all
as
in.
hell
How much
this
money you
week.
want
I am
from me? I'm
saving-
invested.
This is a grumpy group this week.
I am saving my mystery bus guest till my quick topic at the end.
Ooh.
Okay.
I'm going to put him on a bus with no brakes at the top of the mountain, and hopefully we never hear from him again. I'm done with it.
So you're not a fan of NFTs?
You're not a fan of fathers who send 2 of the 3 children to the NBA? Why don't we
Okay,
just
that's
look
not
at
the
it
point.
like that?
Let's go ahead and stick to the NFTs. Are you a fan of the NFTs?
I've listened to
Here's-
Josh try to explain that shit to me, and I don't
Hold
get
on.
it. So get
Hold on.
rid of him.
Chris, we're all
Get rid of
thinking the
me or
same
get
thing
rid of
right
the
now.
NFTs?
Josh, you bought a pack of NFTs, whatever that means.
You did. You bought a pack
How
from
much
NBA
are
Top
you
Shot.
worth right now?
You bought it for
How much is that
$9.99.
$32.50.
He's triple his
Nice.
money. That's where that
Quadrupled it.
chandelier came from.
But
Yeah, a
it
little
has
more.
gone down. That was probably more like $53.74 a few weeks ago. And now it's gone down. I did actually check my Top Shot cards the other day just to see if they'd gone down, which I assumed that they had, and they had. I think it was just a matter of time before these crazy prices. I mean, I don't know if the bubble has burst and it's done, but I think that there was never any way that it was going to continue to grow at the pace that it was. I think that there's still a lot of companies making moves and making hires and building infrastructure to
Big
use
names
NFTs
getting involved. Very
in
big
some
names
way.
still getting involved.
I think what we've seen, the way that we've seen NFTs come about to this point, are just a tiny, scratching the surface of what the capabilities are, because it's essentially a smart contract. So being able to offer up 1% of a team, I mean, that's a super creative way of using it. But there's going to be more creative ways, and kind of some of the ways that we may have traditionally thought about a ticket, we might see come through in an NFT. So it's funny when I start making a great point and make sense and actually educate not only the audience of 327 viewers right now at home, but also these 3 just fossils that I'm talking to right now.
We're so old. We are so old and past our bedtime.
Oh my
Now,
God.
Let
So
me
I get
ask
to
you
move
something.
on,
Hold on a minute,
Chris.
though. Okay, so
Yeah, go
there's a
ahead.
couple things. We've got this fancy chandelier, and he's living in Hollywood Hills or whatever. But there's no furniture. There's like a jacket on the floor, and the windows are smutty, dirty. How about we get some Windex so we can see
those
And
California?
is that a
not-
24 Costco pack of ramen noodles in the back? I'm
Listen,
worried
guys,
about him.
Furniture takes a long time to get delivered these days.
Oh,
There's a
Slow
backstop.
boat from China, man. Slow boat
And-
from China.
That's not the window. That's whatever you put over the window. I don't know what they call it because I never had one before.
Weather
So,
stripping?
Here's
No,
what.
it's what do you call it? Like a barrier between the window and
Oh, you use the
outside
heat gun
world.
to seal it in.
No.
A screen? Is that
no.
a screen?
It's
they're
a
not.
screensaver.
It's not a
screensaver.
chandelier. It's not a chandelier. It's curtains.
Coincidences.
Oh shit! I want to get this point across. Okay, what if we start, Myers? You're gonna hate me for this. What if we
Nope.
start a side company? We bring back the Beckett card system, but for NFTs. But we keep it non-digital. So we send out a physical magazine of what NFTs are worth to really mess with people, and it's a monthly subscription. How many people are listening to this? I bet there's thousands.
326.
My idea is already
326.
stolen, and we're back
Yeah.
to ground zero. No
I
money.
think your idea is probably safe because they have one that's updated by the second and it's digital. So I
this
think
is
we're
monthly.
probably going
It's
to. I
monthly.
get it. It's the
and you
Beckett
can touch
monthly.
it.
You got a good printer
Ah.
they can work with
No,
on,
I don't
on
have
a
a printer.
magazine?
Who has a printer anymore? God damn it, Josh.
Oh,
no, like
we don't
a
have
printer
Shannon
guy.
money over here. Oh. Bong! We've run out of paper.
Look at that chandelier. And now the correct opinion.
Are you guys ready?
Dude spent
I
all week
guess.
making that.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. I mean, look, it's down, it's not out. It's hit its peak, or it hit a peak at the end of May, or in the middle of May, I guess the 1st of May, sometime early in May, and has dropped drastically since, but it's still up from where it was in January. Like, there was an article that came out in Protos that basically pronounced it dead. I don't think it's dead. I do think it's painfully still alive. But Josh, you said something a couple weeks ago that it was the theme that kind of worked its way through the Mayweather Paul fight. It's the same thing. Like, you mentioned something about the future is like these digital wallets are gonna be like, oh, look at all the swag I have in my digital wallet. You know, when I think about all that, boring, so boring. Is it really going to be that interesting to be like, I own the digital rights to this piece of thing that you saw 800 times, or I own the digital? Who cares? Like, this has a place. It's always had a place. You know what it is? It's the equivalent of fine art. I go into someone's house and they have a Rembrandt and they show me the Rembrandt.
Ooh.
I just can't. I go, oh, wow. Boring. Like, to me, right? To me, that's just boring, right? Doesn't mean anything. But they have it because they have all the money in the
I want
world.
that sound
They have
clip, by the
nothing
way.
else. They have nothing else to do.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. They have nothing else to do with it. So they spend a ton of money on this thing. That's what I think is going to happen. Then it's not the great equalizer. It's the same exact thing. Things that are worth having, people like that are going to come in and they're going to buy it. They're going to buy the Weezer album that Weezer makes an NFT. It's not going to go to Chris Hartwig or Michael Myers. It's going to go to some guy with $200 billion that can afford to spend 1.6 on a Weezer album to own it himself. So
yeah, no, you're
boring.
probably right.
So boring.
Either way, it's not something that you are interested in, but a lot of other people will
look,
be.
the only portion of it that I think is valuable to us is what you did. If I can go in and buy an unknown quantity of things, and then suddenly those things could be worth a lot of money, and I can get in for $9.99, it's just a matter of standing in line or virtually standing in line. Okay, great, because those things, it's like baseball cards back in the day. It's the lottery, right? It's exactly what you're showing right there. It's the lottery. But we're moving away from that. It's not going to be the public stuff. It's going to be the private stuff that goes NFT, and it's Charlie did my thing for $765,000.
There's other things that it'll be used for that are, more accessible, that more people will be able to use. Right now, what we've seen is mostly just like the fine art side of it. And a piece sold, the crypto punk piece sold for $11.8 million, I think, within the last
Did you
2
see
days.
that crypto art has fallen so far down the crypto art is basically dead. Crypto art or NFT art stuff is At
Right,
least what's on
that's
the
why-
public domain. The private
Right.
stuff will still do like private art does, but
Well, I
it's
think that-
died.
yes.
Like it hit its hot spot and it's dying.
I don't think it's dying. I think
No,
it's
it's-
adapting. I think it's leveled
Yeah,
off,
fair.
and
Fair.
there, I think from some of the things I've heard, from talking to our buddy Ryan Carter Myers, is there's a lot of really creative people that are putting stuff into this, and it's not a mass market play, but it's not a you have to be rich enough to own a Rembrandt, own this. This is actually some of the stuff that you can see of art or other creative things being created. You own a piece of that actual creation that time, and you might get it for $200. And someday it
Yeah.
could be worth a fortune, and someday
Well, here's
it
what's-
might not be. But
here's what's
it's
not
actually
real.
still is accessible. So
Here's what's not real. And it's the same thing that happens in the Bitcoin, the Coinbase, all the Ethereums, the same thing in the NFTs, is that we are surrounded by a globe that says, oh, I could get rich tomorrow. One thing, and I don't have to earn it. I don't have to go work. I can just do this thing, and suddenly I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll be rich.
Right.
That's why NFTs that's what it's being fueled on. It's fueled on get richers, which is, I'm not judging, because I play the stock market and I make my gambles and do the same thing, just in a different place. So it's not a bad thing, but that's what it is. It's all built up on fluff. Bitcoin, all that stuff. Everybody sees that, some guy bought 1,000 shares for $2 and now it's worth 50,000. He's a billionaire. I can be a billionaire too. No, you can't. Not when it's $37,000 for one Bitcoin. You can't, because it's not going to go up to 900 bazillion thousand. What's up? What we got going here?
I agree that's why it hit this big rush that we saw earlier this year. That's 100%
Yep.
why. But I think
Yep.
for the the long-term future, that's not where it's going to be. It's kind of what Chris was talking about, more of
It'll settle.
and
Well,
and we have to stop thinking it's not just going to be the art and the collectibles. There's going to be
Right.
actual tangible things that come along with the NFTs that
well,
we'll see
the
more and more.
ownership of the Mexican football team.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had not
interesting.
actually heard that, and I think that sounds brilliant to me. And so, and that's clever, and it's something that's not fungible, but it's tangible, right, Josh? So it's
a little bit of both.
it's
There's a
little bit of
fungible
both.
portion and there's a tangible. That's where the
Well,
future is, I believe.
I think the
Mhm.
artwork sale for whatever millions of dollars like set the bar so high that everybody's scrambling to figure out how can we fit in the NFT world. I think sports right now, everybody's trying to get in there. I don't know if it's going to be around for long. I think art does have longevity in this field. I think the Mexican football team, that's a very creative idea. I think that might have legs, but after the dust settles, I think the art will be around. I don't know if sports will be in the same realm, but it's just like everybody's trying to get into the game right now, and they're just throwing ideas at the wall, thinking like, oh, some schmuck somewhere is going to be the first to buy it. I'll make some money, and we'll see what happens. But at least the person who sells it first, like they're the one laughing at the bank at this point.
Two things. Why can't that group sell 1% ownership in an auction and have the exact same
Okay.
result? No
Listen.
reason. No reason is why.
Well,
Literally
I think
no reason.
the way
They
I
want
look
an
at it,
NFT, so they made something that shouldn't be an NFT to say they have an NFT because they're capitalizing on, NFT. You could have bought that 1% before in a different way. You didn't need it to be an NFT to buy it. So my point is everybody's trying to force everything into this NFT world because it's hot and people are dumb and they're spending ridiculous amounts of money. Out.
Pardon me,
sir,
sir, but
but
could I trouble you for a new topic, please?
I think
New
someone needs to
topic,
buy
new
Myers
topic.
an NFT, just a little one, a little
he's
trinket,
mad because he doesn't
a little-
have any NFTs.
a little doggy, if you would. Look at my doggy NFT.
If you would,
He's worth a
if
couple
you
bucks,
would.
but I love him. And he'll
Pardon
be
me,
with
sir, but could I trouble you for a new topic, please?
What is that? Can I trouble you for some what, please?
Could I show you a new topic, please? It's all
I'm going to
new
be on
topic.
permanent mute forever.
All right, next topic. Open doors and Twitter.
Open
You guys are on
doors.
fire. Open doors and Twitter.
Whoa, that's a
Uh,
Rembrandt, and I'm bored.
Go
Yeah.
get him, Scoop.
Oh my god!
So you guys know who Open Doors is. You know who Twitter is. Go. Chris, you talk. I'm done. You talk, Chris. You go. You go. I'm checking out. What do you got for me, Chris?
Big shout out to my boy Blake over at Open Doors. Blake Lawrence, good friend. This is an awesome partnership. It's they've been leading the way on helping to get athletes paid over the last, I think, 6 or 7 years. They've basically become a matchmaking platform for athletes and brands, and they're going to be taking that to Twitter's video platform, which specifically Twitter's video campaigns, which I thought was interesting. They're just starting with the video campaigns, but it's going to help some athletes make some moolah when they're still in college, which is awesome.
Yes, I agree. Chris, I know you're very close to this topic.
Well, no, you're not.
You're not close to this topic.
No.
Every time anybody starts off a point, they're like, "Well, no, no." It's like, "Well, yes."
I mean, I don't want to put my foot down, but I'm wearing the T-shirt and the hat, so it's close to my heart. But pump the brakes.
So the name, image, likeness stuff, and I give big kudos to Blake and Open Doors of led the way on that stuff, and it's the most measurable / monetizable piece of all the different name, image, likeness stuff, and so they've seized it, and I think it's great, and it's providing at least some semblance of some kind of order and clarity for how this thing is going to shake out, at least within social media. So that's, certainly we got a couple more days, and then our friends at the NCAA will step in and fix it all and straighten it all out.
Right.
Literally.
Shocker. A private company got to a partial solution before the NCAA got in there. Shocker.
Hold my breath over here.
Well, what's just incredible is that the state governments are getting shit done. That's faster than these guys, and that tells
government moves fast. I mean, look, you can say what you want to about the NCAA, but don't compare it to the government, because the government is quick, nimble. So if you're gonna, that's just an unfair comparison to the NCAA, because they're doing their very best.
They're very forward thinking,
day and night. Just a forward thinking group, and
it's
they've got a lot on their plate.
Sponsored by the local government. Like, chill out, man. We get it.
Without these other parameters, so you can say, and the idea of that you're going to pay somebody as a social media influencer, that's done already. The market is pretty much set on CPMs and all that kind of jazz. So what, you got this many followers and you're doing this kind of engagement, well, that can be reasonable, and there's parameters to it. But what about with you get into the personal services agreements, and you're doing appearances and commercials and autograph signing and all this other stuff that could be worth $1 million. It could be worth $1. It's whatever somebody's going to pay for it. You've got a big booster that wants a kid to come to his school. It's, hey, I can sign you $1 million endorsement agreement. And there's zero parameters in place. Right.
There will be.
But the problem is that this pendulum then, to me, is, from everything I'm seeing, basically is swinging the pendulum so far back to putting the control back with the NCAA or the schools, that students, before they can get their scholarship, have to, turn over all their financial records and all their endorsement agreements to these schools, and the schools can dictate what they can and can't. Blindly almost dictate what these kids can and can't do. That's completely defeating the purpose of them being able to go onto the market and gain their, what they deserve for their brand. And so it's going to just turn into court fights all over the place, because Mark Emmert he's on it, but in 2026. So until we get there, we're going to have to dig through the shit in the slop.
I think you're right.
Ridiculous.
Though. I think you're right, because what's going to happen is the rules are going to come after the offenses take place. They're going to think of the things they can think of, and they're going to give certain parameters around those things, but they're going to miss a ton. And then as things happen and they go, well, that's not right. We don't like that. That's not fair. We don't like that. They're going to come in and they're add different rules and they're going to go. And look, to a certain degree, okay, you don't know. This is a bit of a new frontier. It's going to take a year or two to get all of the rules and regulations in place. And any good set of rules and regulations is adjusted and adapted based on people, which in any set of rules, you're going to find people trying to circumvent them and get around them to get things that they want done. So it's going to be a few years before this thing is buttoned up. I think the NCAA knows that. I think most people know that. And just like everything else, there's going to be people that really take advantage of these first 3 or 4 years. And you can change a lot in the first 3 or 4 years of something. You can impact a sport. You can reshape a school's success in the future in 4 years once they get it figured out. So it'll be interesting to see who the winners are and the losers are in the next 3 or 4 years from a university standpoint and from an individual standpoint.
Right. But I know we're gonged here, but the final point I would make is like, so what our good friends at the NCAA and the conferences for that matter too, and even universities, without guardrails, without some common sense of putting some kind of practical guardrails in place and some do's and don'ts, it's going to be chaos. And you are going to see, I think that's what's going to, end up being, and not a positive, it's going to end up being a really shitty thing, is that there's some schools and some coaches that really abuse this and gain a national title out of, swinging the power their way for the year or two that they do. But right now there's nothing in place that's going to keep them from doing that at all. It's just like putting their heads in the sand. It's ridiculous. Like any good business person would never operate that way. You'd say,
you'd think it all the way through, or at least halfway, set some parameters up and then go. Like, comes
this
up
is
with
not
an idea
easy.
and just shoots it out there. Like, okay, let's see what happens.
Right.
Well,
that's what this whole podcast is.
That's
in
a
a
good point.
at a
Look at how well
serious
that's
moment,
turning out.
in a serious moment,
I'm
for a
having a
second,
good time.
the reason that happened, and the reason we're in the position right now to experience what you're describing, Chris, is that the NCAA didn't. It's not that they didn't address it; it's that they didn't. They basically said, we don't even see it.
Right.
So they didn't plan anything. There was no like, okay, what about this? What about this? Let's talk to the experts. What about this? Because I guess they felt that if they acknowledged that there were things that needed to be sorted out, that they were admitting they were going to have to give up and give in on the situation. So until they realized, it appears, that they were going to lose that battle, they didn't prepare. And so now they're scrambling to prepare, and other people in a vacuum are filling in those spaces while they don't have the situations under control.
But see, here's the. I know we're going way over, but this is the thing with that. Like,
double gong.
is that okay? So you could pretend it's not going to happen, but again, if you're like have any bit of a brain, you're going to say, well, what if it goes wrong?
No, I agree. But you heard what I said.
Right?
The reason they didn't do that is because it would be acknowledging that it was going to happen, and they didn't want to acknowledge that it was going to happen.
Well, but companies and organizations do that all the time, where they're not going to admit it, but then they've got a group over here that is very, very quietly figuring it out. So that right now,
but those people usually have to go talk to experts. And if they go talk to experts in the world we live in, those experts would say, hey, guess what? I just heard from the NCAA and they're trying to figure this out. There's no way to do it in their mind. And I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, Chris. I agree with you 100% that they should have, they could have, most good companies would have. I think we all agree the NCAA is the best company. So I don't know why we're even talking about this.
I think it's all just a little bit shocking for each and every one of us to see the NCAA caught flat-footed on something.
Right.
I think that's really, it's hard for us to wrap our head around.
I am surprised by
it. Sorry, Mr. Emmert. I am so sorry. Please work with me in the future.
I just hope our standard blank
I still have eligibility
shirts come in time for the at least the 100th podcast to show our support for all the press we give them.
Oh yeah, we've got them on the way. They are. Trust me, the NCAA shirts are on the. Every viewer is going to get that.
I want my.
Every viewer is going to
shirt.
get one of those. All right. Well, let's talk about some just random topics here, guys. I know we're down to the last segment where we just sort of rapid fire some things. I thought this was interesting. I feel like such a curmudgeon this week. Literally, I feel like a curmudgeon
week?
this week.
Aha!
Yep.
This week?
Yep.
Aha!
Yep.
You admitted
Just
it.
this week. Just this week.
Just this
There is
once.
a new video machine. We're going to call it a video machine like an old person. It's called Playdate. Have you guys heard about this? It's putting out, the company Panic is putting this out.
I've
And-
been happily
Is that like
married for
Pong?
12 years, and what
Well,
you do is what
you know, it's not that different from Pong. It is different from Pong, but it is I'm not kidding, hand crank. That's how it gets its power. Hand crank.
Again,
It is a
whatever you
black
do
and
in
white
your own
screen.
bedroom
Yeah, man.
is
Like,
all the-
I get
hand
we
crank,
can all
that's
bring
your
our own
business.
topics, but this is ridiculous, Myers.
This is really
I
making
guess
me
to
uncomfortable.
stick on the double entendre, black and white. It's in black. The screen is black and white, right? So it looks like an Etch-a-Sketch. They're putting out 2 games every month for free. So the first year they're putting out 24 games. It's $179 for this thing that's this big that has black and white games. It's $179 for this thing, and I'm
Bought 3
wondering, like, what's that?
You bought 3 of them already.
I bought 3 of them. Well, I'm going to NFT them.
Which one of us doesn't get one, by the way? It's probably
Guys,
me,
I don't
right?
think Myers knows what NFTs are. I think I need to explain it for another
Shoot.
42 minutes.
Shoot. I thought I could buy
Please.
something and just say it was an NFT. So I thought that was
Someday.
interesting. $179. Josh, do you have a topic? Do you want to talk about real fast? Just like, do you want to
I
express
mean,
yourself?
I don't know. I just don't know how I'm ever going to follow that. But I honestly don't want to follow that.
I plead the
But-
fifth.
So there's a little
but
screen. It's black and white, and the kids are playing it these days.
The kids
Tell me your age without telling me your age. Go.
All right.
Wait,
Guys,
what
we
did
have
you
to-
guys play growing up? What did you play growing up? What was the
You don't wanna
oldest
know.
video system you
A
knew?
video game?
PlayStation 4, Josh, when you were a kid.
Right.
Chris, what about
I
you?
had VR. I had like
We had
Your first video game was virtual reality. Stop talking.
the Commodore
Unbelievable.
VIC-20.
You had
set.
the
plugged
green
in.
Chrome computer
It was like
thing,
a-
Chroma.
No, it's older.
That's great.
An older version of it.
With the little screen?
No,
The little
you,
bitty
you had
screen?
you plugged into your TV,
Oh,
and it. I mean,
Like
but it was like
every
a
other video
tape
game.
player. No, but okay, fine. Just make fun of my
my first.
youth. That's fine.
My
Hand
first was
crank.
actually a Game Boy Color and a PlayStation.
Game Boy. Okay.
Game Boy Color.
Mike Smith, what was
Color.
yours?
Mine was original Nintendo, but Game Boy original green screen. And Myers, to your point, I'm going to talk through the gong on this because I'm very passionate with video games. I'm a video game dadder. I think if you were to bring back an original Game Boy, simple black and white graphics, simple games like classics like Tetris, Dr. Mario, a few of these other things, like they'd be huge hits. Like video games have gone too far complicated and
They have
like,
brought them back, though.
Yeah,
They brought
no,
them back,
but
and they're not huge
No,
hits
but
because you
that's
don't know
kind of
about
what
them.
I think
that's
what
where
you're-
your gaming system's going for. Is like just keep it
Yes.
simple, man, and like you can play the same game over and over and over and have fun, and it's just like it'll fill that
Well,
gap
we'll
of
see.
like yeah, we'll
$189.
see.
We'll see.
Everything
I mean,
is.
Are you going to
circular.
get one, Mr.
Oh, I'm
Myers?
no, I'm not going to get one. I don't think.
You're going to get.
I don't
You're going to
believe I
get
am.
3.
Yeah.
The
I'm
only
gonna
thing
get
I
one
will
or
say
not
about
three.
this, the only thing I do like about this, I think it's Wi-Fi connectable one to the next, so you can play against your friends. So I do think there's that now on this,
Oh,
which is
black
cool.
and white Wi-Fi game. Oh, they're too
Uh-huh.
much. I'm out.
Right?
They jumped the shark.
They jumped.
Yeah,
the shark. Yeah.
Yeah.
First
Good luck
prize
on
wins
Shark
an
Tank with that.
NFT. What?
With
My
And the
first
kicker
video
is
game.
it's only $180.
Chris, you might be the only person that's heard of the first video game I had. It was called the Intellivision. Do you know
Yeah.
about the
Oh, yeah.
Intellivision?
Oh, yeah. There was
It looked like
television,
it
and
looked
there
like a
was
cell phone.
ColecoVision after that.
ColecoVision was just alternate to it. Coleco was more like Atari. Coleco was like
Yes.
his sister to Atari, where Intellivision was the first one that had individually moving AI characters. Whereas if you remember, if you played football in Atari, all the players moved at once, like just all kind of in the Intellivision, they moved individually, but it was still 2D. on the baseball game, you hit a ball. It didn't have any height or depth.
No.
It just, when it hit the edge of the TV screen, was it a home run or not? It was interesting. So Mike Smith is asleep. So Josh, what was your topic? You wanted to talk about the NBA. I know you did.
Well,
You said something to me
of
about it
course.
earlier.
Well, we haven't talked about the NBA for a whole episode. I have to bring it up. No, I just think it's interesting. We're officially moved on to the second round of the playoffs now, and this will be
Exciting.
the first. Yeah, all of us, Chris. There's not a special team for Chris
Because
until
your
the first
Lakers
round.
aren't playing anymore.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Well, they're not in the second round, but we all are. They're
we are. We.
It's the proverbial we.
I like
right?
The
Okay.
royal we. I like it.
I
The
thought you
royal
were
we
like
is in the
picking a
second round.
team and saying we. Like,
I'm picking a
you
team.
play
I'm rooting for the Phoenix Suns.
Oh no,
I'm
I
rooting for
just
the Phoenix Suns.
I'm always a fan of rooting for the team that beat my team, because then if that team wins, I can say, well, at least my team lost to the champs.
Do
But
they make
they're
T-shirts
also
for that?
yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
My
they
team
do.
lost to the champ, brought to you by the NCAA. Go ahead.
And they get a ring and everything.
No ring.
And an NFT.
Open Doors does my job.
And
NCAA.
Here's my digital picture.
Chris, Josh, how do you feel about this? What's going on in the NBA second round?
Well, I just think it's exciting times, because this is the first NBA Finals since 1991.
Not there yet. Mhm.
This will be the
I
first.
gotcha.
This will be the first NBA Finals since 1991 without one of these 7 players that were in the finals. LeBron
Okay.
James, Steph Curry, going back in time here, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, or Michael Jordan. So those 7 players since 1991 have been in every single NBA Finals, or at least made an appearance in every single NBA Finals.
I will agree that is, as a non-NBA fan, I will agree that is awesome, because that tells me the NBA has done a shite job of parody. Shite. How many total teams have won a champion? Well, you can't tell them off the top of your head, but based on that, with the same 7 players, free agency does change a little bit. But what is there, like 9 teams that have won the last 30 championships?
It might be 10. Yeah, because the Heat, the Heat, Cavs, you take those 7 players and add a few, basically, because you got LeBron played on 2 different teams, and Kawhi's won a couple in there. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, and yes, it has shown that the parity, and it also shows that in NBA you really need 1 or 2 great players, and you can be there every single year. So it's an exciting time for the league.
The NBA has moved to a one-on-one style. Okay, I hadn't picked up on that. I hadn't picked up on that. It's what draws me in every week to watch a guy go one-on-one.
Listen, if you want to go watch some like young teenagers play with each other, then go watch.
What's the word I was looking for? Boring. Sorry. That's the theme of the day.
Rembrandt?
Josh, no. I want to, like, non-NBA fan here. Josh, is this a changing of the guard for the entire NBA? Do you think this is, like, for the next few years, is this going to set the precedent of you're going to have new names in that the 7 players you just mentioned for 20 or 30 years, or is this just a one-off?
Well, I can guarantee that 5 out of those 7 players will not be back to the NBA Finals, but I think it's very likely that next year we could see a Western Conference Finals, LeBron versus Steph, Lakers versus Warriors. So
yeah,
I think this is a year
starting a new series of whoever makes it this year, doing it 4 years in a row. Right.
It could very well be the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, I find it hard to see anybody stopping them. So, I mean, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving winning an NBA championship, that's not super new. But I think that there's a changing of the guard it's officially started happening. I don't know if it's not complete yet. I think you'll still see at least Steph and LeBron make another serious run next year, but they're going to have a lot more serious competition with these younger players that are coming up. So, and you've seen that a little bit this year with guys like Devin Booker and Luka and Donovan Mitchell. So yeah, there's a lot of cool, great young talent out there. It's fun to watch as an NBA fan. For all people that don't like the NBA,
you know what?
You guys,
it's kind of fun to watch as a non-NBA fan. I'll probably check it out, knowing that it's a whole new batch of people. I'll check it out and root against the Brooklyn Nets. I'll be rooting for Phoenix Suns, because anytime somebody plays down to face a team, Wait, no, that wasn't Phoenix. That was Dallas. Somebody played down to face Dallas. Did Dallas end up losing the first round?
The Clippers beat them
They beat
7.
them. Shoot.
It was
Okay.
close. Luka gave them a run.
That's
I
unfortunate.
can't wait to see the finals dunk contest. That's all I'm saying. Boing.
That is a
What
perfect
perfect
ending to
timing.
that statement. Yeah. Chris, who do you want to put on the bus?
Oh yeah, I'm dying here. By the way, Joe
Goodbye and
West,
Yeah.
He's got Joe West. He's got all NFTs.
all NFTs.
Yeah.
He's got
He's
me
got-
explaining NFTs.
I think he's got Jake Paul and
Josh-
Josh Kyles as explanation.
I say goodbye and good riddance, Mike Krzyzewski.
Ooh,
Ooh.
Coach K. Not a Coach K fan.
Put him on a bus. Jesus.
No breaks on a mountain.
No breaks.
Yeah.
The top of the
Yeah, that
mountain.
was a rough one. Coach
I-
K.
I have found him, have worked with him, and he was not a good human being. He's a hell of a coach,
Wow.
and has a hell of a record. Almost 1,200 wins, right? 12 Final Fours, 5 national championships. Great, but the guy is
You're not a fan. You're
steps
not a
on
fan of
people
Coach
and-
Krzyzewski.
disrespectful to people, and thinks he's better than people. And I have
We may have to edit this out just to keep Chris employed. That's impressive.
I'm not employed. I'm not employable. But I think that
Employable.
it's a little bit to me of the bigger picture is a little bit of the deification of some of these coaches that we've seen.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not putting Krzyzewski in the same class as Joe Paterno or apparently Bo Schembechler from this week is. But I mean that there's this level that you put some of these guys and they've run these crazy programs that I could put Urban Meyer in there and then what's his nuts with the sweater
Calipari?
vest? Tressel and Calipari and basketball, that they don't take any ownership to actually running not a clean program per se, but just like a respectful type of program. But people like, coach, whatever they do is fantastic because they win in national championships, and that is not the whole, the sum of the equation. And I think, stepping on people like shit, physically abusing people, whatever it is, it's, we read that article today about the guy who got his letter jacket or letter sweater, 63 years after he graduated. And
Great story, by the way.
just unbelievable story on ESPN about this.
Immaculate Conception, is that the name of the high school? Immaculate
it was.
Conception
I see from
Catholic school.
in New Jersey. Read that story on ESPN. But it's more that concept of the bullying.
Great
and,
story.
hey, the football team that, they're the cool guys, the tough guys, the big guys, that they win a lot of games and they can treat anybody the way they want. It's the same kind of thing with Krzyzewski, and he can turn it on to be nice when he needs to be. But I saw behind the scenes stuff where it's just, I would never treat anybody like that. And he's supposed to be, this all-time great human being. And anyway, it's, and that was something I saw almost 20 years ago. And I still get obviously pissed off about it. And so, everybody needs to get over it. And I don't want him to go driving off a cliff off of a bus.
That's
Can't
go
nice
back
of you.
Fortunately for
Cut
everyone
those
involved,
breaks.
he can't do that. There's a
Logan
metaphorical
Paul,
bus. Yes.
Logan Paul,
And he
yes.
will end up on the Mount Rushmore of basketball coaches alongside Dean Smith and Calipari and John Wooden and these guys, which
Well, the
you
thing
know,
is, I guess the thing I would closest compare it to, and I saw it, the coaching style behind, closed doors, is he made he said stuff and did stuff that would make Bobby Knight blush. And, that's perfect. That's where, hey, we lost him.
Mike Smith said, I can't
Mike
stand
Lip.
how you're talking about Mike Krzyzewski. He loves Mike Krzyzewski.
He's a big K guy.
Mike Smith is a Duke fan, huge Duke fan.
But you put that, you
kidding.
talk about that Mount Rushmore, right, of coaches, and you probably put Bobby Knight and Krzyzewski along with, along with, John Wooden and Dean Smith or something. But what would Dean Smith make his reputation on? Like, he actually treated people well, and and it's just, I don't know.
Who's the guy that just retired from North Carolina?
Roy Williams,
Kansas. Roy Williams. He'll be on there. Yeah. But Mike Krzyzewski was the USA Olympic coach. I mean, doesn't matter what anybody thinks. He's going down as one of the greatest of all time.
And he showed with the Olympics, like he didn't have to be a douchebag. He could coach, like he knows how to coach, and he could coach these egos and superstars to get them all on the same page and go and dominate and win a gold medal. He's proved he can coach, but he's proved he can coach and not have to be, an inhumane asshole about it. But that is the way that he did treat a lot of people, and not just as players, but other people around the program. And so anyway, that's a fight I'm never going to win because, he's been deified, and Duke fans come to my house tomorrow morning probably and string me up. But it's
most likely,
there's a point where it's like it's just another human being.
But we can see who's watching this show, so we'll be able to track back to who did.
Okay, good.
Everything's recorded. We know our audience.
We track the viewers closely.
I gotta go recharge my Ring doorbell camera first. So
you're gonna want to set your security system tonight for sure.
I'll tell you right now, it's gonna be me. No one talks about Coach K like that.
You finally
pissed off topics. Josh. Well, actually, I think we're probably going to skip the WTA and the ATP combining. I just think that's interesting. I'll give my 5 cents on that. That should have happened a long time ago. It's going to be interesting. It took a pandemic to make it happen. It is going to be interesting to see how they square up if you're all under one roof, how are you going to square the pay gap question? Because they're all your employees, the men and the women. And 2, on the flip side of that it's going to be difficult to square equal pay without equal viewership. So we'll see. By the way, it was really easy to find. So 2015, it was 3-1 viewership male ATP over the WTA. In 2019, the WTA had gone from 2015, 300 and some million to 700 million. But on the entire planet, I can't find the ATP numbers anywhere. So I have no idea if they've gone up quite a bit or if it's sort of leveled off. I will say, though, there are 3 guys that are carrying the ATP, and they're going to retire not that long from now. I don't know who's going to tune in to watch a bunch of dudes. I don't know their names. Yes. Anybody?
I don't know any other names.
I 100% agree with you that they should have done it a long time ago. And I think the women will definitely benefit them, but they will help carry some of the men for a while. I think you're doing some things of amortizing the cost and combining some of these events and things that aren't already combined. Everybody's going to be better off for it. And in some
I don't think the fan's going to see any difference or much. I don't think it's going to be any different to what you see, but I do think they'll probably do better on prize money, and it may be better run, and more. Who knows? But I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. And I think if it
is a pretty good global organization, like you said there, that may doing sponsorship
CVC
and activation pieces. Right.
Yeah.
But it could be
still private equity. Who knows? It's private equity coming in and doing it. And that's
usually
not exactly
a good sign coming into sports or marketing.
No, but it's everywhere right now. By the way, if you read the trades right now, 75% of the stories are about VC equity coming into sports. 75% of the business stories are about money being dumped into these different things. That is what is happening, because sports right now, sports is the only live television. It's from a marketing standpoint, from a commercial standpoint, from a brand standpoint, it is on fire comparatively because it's the only appointment television left, and everybody wants in. Go ahead, Mike.
Make it better or stay out.
I remember that's Mike's 2 things.
Come in, make it better. Everybody wins or stay the F out.
Last topic, all about making it better. Guys, are you excited for the e-scooter championships?
Yes.
Finally.
NCAA has come in and they have not the NCAA, but there is a group that has created the blades that you see scooting around the city. They have made a racing scooter, stand-up scooter, and they are launching the e-scooter championships. I want all of you to check it out on ESPN, the Ocho.
The Ocho. Why doesn't Logan Paul get into that and crash into a dumpster that's on fire, and then everyone wins?
So the real reason why Myers wanted to bring this up is because last week when he came out to San Diego, they wouldn't let him rent a car, so he was going everywhere on an e-scooter, and he became very proficient on the e-scooter scene there in San Diego.
Some of that story was
please
very true.
Share a picture on our channel.
He was
with the
supposed
viewers.
to. He was supposed to have somebody help, with a car and a place to stay. That was part of the problem too, wasn't it?
No, just a place to stay. No, that
You gotta learn how to trust people, who to trust.
No, but I really did. True story. I did arrive. Actually, last thing before we go, I'll tell this quick story. True story. I did arrive in San Diego, actually in Scottsdale, went to rent a car.
I thought I got a chance at this. Like, I'm just
do you want to add
What's
something,
your
Mike?
topic?
What do you got? Mike? You want to throw something in there?
Here's what I'm gonna throw in there, and this will be a future discussion point. American Gladiators is coming back, and mark my words. Like, you see the American Ninja Warrior stuff blowing up over the last few years. American Gladiators, buy your NFTs now. Mark my word, Josh. You got my money. You got my account. Let's do this.
All right,
I remember
got you.
the American Gladiators were badass back in the day. It was
think about
pretty
now with all the steroids and
badass.
everything.
Wasn't that Mike Adamley?
They were already on the steroids at that point. They were
think they're
very
gonna use-
steroid heavy.
Are they going to let the American Gladiators use spider tech? Just
They might. No, they have Nerf. They have Nerf machine guns, if I recall.
Yeah, think of
with
Nerf
absolutely
in the
no
90s
accuracy.
to Nerf with now. Like, oh my god, I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I actually agree, but I think that's what these other shows are. But I'll watch American Gladiators when they come back. All right, so I did travel last week. I did go to Scottsdale. When I went to rent a car, I did discover, or they informed me, that my driver's license had expired entirely 5-6 months ago, like a long time ago. And with the pandemic, I had no reason to test that out. So I found that out in a very difficult way. Fortunately, I had a buddy with me, so he rented the car. But yeah, that did actually happen. But here's what I want to talk about before we go. We have 2 minutes and then we're hanging up.
We've been on for 3 hours. Right
3
now.
hours.
You know that,
I flew into O'Hare Airport. I landed at 5 a.m. First of all, Uber is so messed up right now. It costs $75 to take an Uber from O'Hare to my house downtown. Uber, that's another topic, is VC money coming in and dumping all this money into these startups so that they can run out established businesses like taxis until there are no taxis left. And then suddenly they just start charging more than the taxis ever charged. So
it's genius.
It's genius. It's genius. It's what the cable companies did. It's what they do. Well, then we're gonna cut the cord. Well, now it's more expensive than that. It's all the same damn thing. But I landed in Terminal 3.
What grinds my gears? How expensive an
right
Uber
here.
is.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
Hand crank.
I landed in Terminal 3. Guess where all 4 Uber setups are? I land in Terminal 3. Yeah, I land in Terminal 3, which it's 5 a.m. I'm the only flight coming in, 4:45. I land at Terminal 3. I walk out. I asked for my Uber, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's right here. I walked for 12 minutes. And that was just to get to the end of them at Terminal 1. I'm lugging 4 bags. I'm sweating like crazy. And it's 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, there's got to be. Why do you put all the Uber stops at one terminal? Why would you do that?
Maybe don't fly United Select. We can't all afford that. I'm still at
American
Midway on
Airlines,
Southwest
baby.
Family Plus. I'm considered a piece of luggage to my family of 4.
Sincerely, don't you think it makes more sense to spread the Uber gates out instead of putting them all at one terminal? Don't you think that makes sense? We're kind of at a place where Uber is at the airport. No one cares. Oh,
yeah,
man.
let me call my Uber guy right now.
Man.
Voice
Let me
my
straighten
opinion.
Had to do it.
When do we get one of those buttons, by the way?
I know. It's crazy. I'm sitting here listening to a story about, I thought you were going to tell a better story about you landing in another airport.
I was like, get to
Well,
the point.
it's too late now. It's too late now.
Josh,
we have
screenshot what you just made. Send it to me and Chris, because that's the only way we can defend ourselves moving forward.
Screenshot the note
on your phone and hold it up to the camera mid-broadcast. If anybody's listening, we don't make money and we're being held hostage on this podcast. But somehow Josh has a chandelier.
I did give him the best room. I did give him the best
You
room.
did.
All right, guys. This was great. You guys were so buttoned up tonight. It was fantastic. I can't wait to rewatch this. I appreciate it. That looks delicious, Mike. I think I'm going to have one. It's 10:20 p.m. now. I need one of those right now. But best of luck. You guys are the best. All right. See you guys later.
Cheers.